Today, we are going to dive into something deep, something that you may feel running beneath the surface of your life, a silent current that shapes who you are. We are going to talk about a spiritual force that many feel, but few can name. It is what we can call the blue power that comes from God. Forget for a moment the idea of a literal color. Think of it as a quality of divine energy, a specific vibration, a spiritual signature that God entrusts to certain souls for a very clear purpose. God's power manifests in countless ways, like an infinite spectrum of light. There is the energy of confrontation, of explosive healing, of miraculous provision. The blue power, however, operates on a different frequency. It does not shout. It does not seek the stage. It does not need applause. It is the divine energy of presence, of silent authority, and of celestial order. It is the force that God uses to stabilize chaotic environments, to bring clarity where confusion reigns, and to establish truth without a single word of accusation needing to be spoken. The best image for this is in the Bible, when the elders of Israel saw God and described that, under his feet, there was something like a pavement of sapphire. Think of sapphire, a deep blue stone, incredibly strong, resistant to scratches, and at the same time, perfectly translucent and pure. This is the nature of the blue power. It is a force that structures, that makes firm, that creates a solid foundation. But it does so with a clarity and a purity that do not oppress. It simply is. How does this energy manifest in a person's life? It is not about a feeling of superiority, but about the recognition of a series of experiences that, to you, may seem normal, but that stand out drastically in the context of the world around you. The first and most notable manifestation is how your presence reorganizes environments. You have already experienced this, even if you haven't stopped to analyze it. You enter a room where the air is heavy with gossip, tension, or negativity. You say nothing, you make no gesture, you just sit down or pass through, and suddenly, the subject dies. People change their tone. The atmosphere shifts. They themselves do not know why they stopped talking or why they suddenly feel uncomfortable with their own negativity. What happens is that the blue power you carry operates like a spiritual tuning fork. Its frequency of order and truth is so pure that it naturally exposes and disharmonizes chaos. A lie cannot be comfortably sustained in your presence. Disorder feels confronted by your calm. You do not need to fight. Your simple presence is already a spiritual declaration. Another clear sign is that you function as a lightning rod for the pains of others. People open up to you with impressive ease. Strangers on the bus, distant co-workers, acquaintances at a party. They feel inexplicably safe to tell you their most intimate stories, their deepest fears, their secret wounds. This happens because your aura, the energy that emanates from you, transmits a message of stability and non-judgment. Souls that are lost, wounded, or confused are instinctively drawn to this frequency. They cannot explain it, but they feel that in you they will find a refuge, a point of stability amidst their storm. For years you may have felt overwhelmed by this, as if you were a repository for others' problems. But the truth is that you were, unconsciously, serving as a spiritual safe harbor. This leads us to another fundamental characteristic. Your intuition is in fact a spiritual compass of high precision. It is not just a good guess or empathy. You simply know things you would have no logical way of knowing. You look at a person whom everyone admires, and you feel a darkness that gives you chills. You hear a business proposal that looks perfect on paper, but your spirit screams danger. You feel, with your entire body, when someone is lying, even if their story is perfectly convincing. This is spiritual discernment, one of the most active tools of the blue power. It is the ability to see beyond the veil of appearances and perceive the currents of intention, the hidden motivations, and the spiritual energies that truly move a situation. The world can be deceived by words and smiles, but your spirit is not, for it reads the frequency of truth behind everything. And perhaps the most intimate aspect of this journey is your relationship with solitude and silence. For many people, silence is frightening, a void to be filled with noise and distractions. For you, however, silence is a sanctuary. It is in silence that you find yourself again, that you recharge, and that you hear with more clarity. You have probably gone through long periods of isolation, whether physical or emotional, periods of deep pain that you carried alone, without anyone knowing the true extent of your suffering. This was not a divine punishment nor a sign that something was wrong with you. It was your training. It was God forging you in the silent fire, teaching you to build an inner strength that did not depend on any external support. The blue power is not cultivated in the applause of the crowd. It deepens and purifies itself in the stillness of the personal desert. It was in these moments of solitude that your spiritual authority was solidified, becoming unshakable. Carrying this energy, however, brings with it a burden and a battle. It is a path that, by its nature, attracts opposition. By feeling everything with such overwhelming depth, you have certainly felt exhausted and misunderstood and profoundly lonely. You must have asked yourself countless times, why am I like this? Why does everything affect me so much? The answer is that your spirit was designed to be an instrument of high sensitivity. It is like a seismograph capable of detecting spiritual tremors that go unnoticed by the majority. And this light does not go unnoticed in the spiritual realm. The enemy of our souls has recognized this divine signature in you since your childhood. Many of the wars you have faced, the betrayals that came from nowhere, the sudden losses, the unjust attacks, were not random. They were calculated attempts to extinguish this light before you were aware of the power it contained. The war against you was so intense because your simple existence is a fundamental threat to the kingdom of chaos. Where you tread, the order of God has the potential to manifest, and that is intolerable for the forces of disorder. The first step to living fully in this calling is radical acceptance. It is to stop fighting against who you are. Stop apologizing for your intensity, for trying to diminish your sensitivity to fit into shallow environments. Your depth is not a flaw. It is your design. It is the main tool for your mission. You were created this way for a divine reason. The second step is to keep yourself constantly anchored in the source. You are a channel, not the source. The energy of order and healing that flows through you is powerful, but it can exhaust you if you try to operate on your own strength. Prayer, time with God, reading the Word, moments of stillness are not just religious rituals. For you, they are vital maintenance. They are like a river that must always be connected to its spring to not run dry. It is in these moments that you cleanse yourself of the energies you have absorbed and replenish yourself with the purity of divine energy. And finally, it is crucial to learn the sacred art of setting boundaries. By being a safe harbor, you will attract many people, but not all will come to be healed. Some will come, unconsciously, to drain your energy. Your discernment, that spiritual compass, must be used to know to whom you should extend your hand and from whom you need to step away to protect your own peace. Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every person is yours to fix. Your mission is not to save the world, but to be a point of light and order in the places where God puts you. Living with a blue power is not about becoming a mystical figure or a spiritual superhero. It is about the humble and daily journey of surrendering to be an instrument. It is accepting the call to be a pillar of stability in a world that trembles. It is being the calm in the eye of the storm. It is being the presence that, without saying a word, reminds others that there is a greater order, a deeper peace, and a truth that remains. If every word of this conversation has echoed in the story of your life, in your most solitary moments, and in your most inexplicable experiences, then there is no more room for doubt. You carry this blessing. The question that remains is no longer what is this that I feel, but rather a simple and direct prayer. Lord, here I am. How do you want to use my presence, my silence, and the strength that you have placed in me on this very day? The answer, invariably, will come in the stillness, guiding your steps so that you may be, simply, the powerful and peacemaking presence you were born to be.